Hey everyone, blessings and welcome. In this video, I will be discussing how to deal with ungrateful people. But before we get into our subject, I want to invite you to subscribe to this channel if you're not already a subscriber. Hit the like button because it really does help me out, and hit the notifications so you know whenever I upload a new video. And also feel free to drop me a comment. I would love to hear from you. And as usual, I do appreciate your support of this channel. So let's get into the topic of how to deal with ungrateful people. Yes, mostly all of us have come across these types of people who are just so ungrateful. I mean, the times when we have really extended ourselves and put ourselves out there, gave of our resources, our labor, our money, organized things for them, really went out of our way and really sacrificed for people. And we didn't get a thank you. We didn't get proper recognition. And, some of us were even dismissed after we helped someone. So it's a really terrible feeling when you come across ungrateful people, and especially when you do so much for them. And it could be very challenging emotionally. It could be very demoralizing. You feel bad about yourself, and sometimes bitterness and resentment can't grow toward that person. So in this video, we're going to talk about how to deal with that and how to deal with others and ourselves when we're faced with the situation of dealing with an ungrateful person. So the first thing I want you to keep in mind, if you come across an ungrateful person, if you're in a situation where you've done something for someone and they can't even say thank you, first thing is you manage your expectations, and just know that there's always a chance that some people will just not be grateful for whatever you do for them. It's unfortunate, but it's true. I mean, there's some people who do something for them and they'll be so happy and they'll show so much appreciation, and it's wonderful when we can get that back in return. But then there's going to be others who just don't care. There's going to be others who feel entitled to our resources, to our labor, like we're supposed to do it. And there's going to be no recognition of all that you've done for them. And just know that when you do anything for anybody, that is a chance that you might not get the reaction that you think. You go out of your way, you plan a big event, for example, and a person kind of like treats it like it's nothing, or they're really underwhelmed. So it's not a great feeling when that happens. So that's why it's very important for us to manage our expectations and know that there's a chance that if we do something for someone, they might not show appreciation. I know that it's terrible when you think about it, but it's true. So when we manage our expectations, and when we don't get the reaction, or when someone shows ingratitude, it kind of like lessens the blow emotionally, when we know that, okay, I did these things for this person and they didn't say thank you, or they kind of like ignored it or act like it didn't happen. Okay, I'll survive. I'll get over this. I'm just dealing with somebody who's just not grateful. And you have to keep in mind that there's some people out there who just don't have good manners. Everyone has not been raised the same. We've all been raised different in different households, different families. And some people just are, they have really, really bad manners. Some people behave like they were raised by wolves. Some people, it could be cultural too. Just some people are just different, and, they don't care. So if we manage our expectations and we come into the situation, if we're doing something for someone, lending a helping hand, whatever it is, if we know that there's a chance we might not get any recognition for it, just know you'll survive, and just know that there's that question mark there. And when you have that question mark in mind when you do something for somebody, it will help you out when it comes to managing and dealing with ungrateful people, right? So don't just expect people to be grateful, because they might not. And if you walk into a situation and if you do something for someone, if you have that in your mind, in the back of your mind, it will help you out tremendously. Number 2, question your why. Why do you do anything? Why are you doing it in the first place? Whatever it is for that person. Why are you doing it? Why? Is it because you want to make yourself feel better? Is it because you want to be seen? Is it because you want to be accepted? Like, what is the why behind what are you doing? Are you a people pleaser? And you just think if you do enough for certain people that they'll like you better, or, so it's you really have to question your own motives behind why you do things. It really will help you out. I know it's helped me out questioning my why. And when I began to question my why and my motivations and basically not having an agenda attached, like, or basically expecting something in return when I do something for somebody, it helped me out when I didn't get the reaction or when I didn't get the thank you, right? So sometimes it's just good to do the right thing because the right thing is good to do, right? So if you have that attitude, I'm just doing good for good's sake, then, and instead of having some sort of motivation behind it, that's why you have to question yourself. Get rid of the motivations and just do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, right? Even if the person doesn't recognize you, even if they don't say thank you, even if you went all out of your way for someone you sacrificed and, the person that you're dealing with doesn't care, you still did a good thing. You still helped someone out. And that's a credit to you. That's a credit to your soul, to your spirit. That's a credit to you also putting more goodness and positivity out in the world. And we need more. That's why we need more people doing good things, because it actually helps, our environment, believe it or not. And it helps us on the inside to grow and become better and stronger people, So when you question your why, you don't have a motive behind why you're doing something for someone. And if you're just doing something because it's the right thing to do, and you'll be blessed. You'll be a blessed person, right? So that will help you when you're dealing with an ungrateful person, is to make sure your why is in check. Because if there's some sort of motivation attached to that, or some hidden agenda, or sometimes we have motivations and we don't know we have motivations because sometimes we're dealing with insecurities or other things that might be going on in the background that we're not aware of. We may not have awareness of it, but we always question your why and just do the right thing. If you could do the right thing, do the right thing. It's kind of like if you're, going through an entrance, and you hold the door for someone and they just walk by, they don't acknowledge it. And it's, I used to get upset when people would do that. I would hold the door or help them with something and they don't say thank you or give you any eye contact or acknowledgement of it. Now, when that happens, I'm like, you know what? I did something nice for someone. And I don't think about why that person didn't acknowledge or say thank you when I held the door open for them or extended something for them or what have you. Maybe it was something on their mind, or they were deep in thought about something, or maybe they were going through something that day and they just didn't think about it. Or maybe sometimes people forget. So try not to think too deeply about why people don't give you recognition or say thank you, or why they're ungrateful, because if we think too deeply about that, then we'll be in trouble. Then we'll get upset. Then we'll get angry and bitter and mad at the world, right? So always question your why and just know that doing the right thing is good, because the right thing is good to do. All right. So the next thing we need to think about when it comes to dealing with ungrateful people is that we just need to know that some people, I mentioned this earlier, just people having bad manners. Some people really just don't care. Some people are entitled. Some people are narcissistic. Some people are selfish. Some people are self-centered. And some people just don't care about you, your feelings, or about what you do for them, because they may feel that you're supposed to do it. Even if you sacrificed, even if you gave your all, even if you gave your last, there are some people who will just keep taking from you. I call them parasites. They will just keep taking and taking and taking. They will drain your life force, drain you dry until you're on life support and still ask for more. There are people out there who are like that, who are parasitical, who are entitled, who think your labor is owed to them. Your service is owed to them. Your resources is owed to them because of who they are. What I hear sometimes, especially in the conversations about narcissism and, people who are character impaired, I hear a lot that oh, they have some sort of insecurity and that's why they behave the way they behave and so on and so forth. And that might be true for some people, but there are people out there who actually believe that they're really all that. There's some people out there who believe that they are God's gift to the universe. They put themselves so high so that they could look down on everybody else. They have a really inflated self-image. And these people out here exist. So when you come across these types of people, they are definitely going to be ungrateful when you do something for them because they feel like they're entitled to whatever you're giving to them. So just know that some people just don't care. That's why we can't think too deeply about it. And that's why I'm going to go back to what I said earlier about doing the right thing because the right thing is good to do. Because you're gonna come across some people who are like this. Everyone's not like this, but you're gonna come across some people who are just like this. So, and there's not much you can do about that or about them. That's their problem. You did a nice thing for them. You looked out for them. You organized something for them. You did something nice for them, and they don't care. They think you're supposed to do it. That's on them. That's not on you. That's a them problem. They have the issue. You don't have the issue. So don't think too deeply about it. Just see it as a credit to yourself that you just did a good thing. All right. So I just also want you to keep in mind when it comes to ungrateful people that there's just some people who are entitled. So what are some of the things that we can do? The practical things that we can do? Well, the first thing that we can do is really set boundaries. We have to set a firm boundary. So if you find yourself in a situation where you keep doing and doing and doing for the same person and they're not acknowledging it, they don't care, they're not helping you, or they're just really ungrateful, not showing any gratitude at all, I say stop doing so much, or stop doing at all. If they're not appreciating you, if it's family or if it's people you definitely have to deal with on a continual basis. And sometimes we have people in our family who are like the person I described earlier, who are just entitled, and this is rough, especially if you're a caregiver and you're dealing with elders who are entitled or narcissistic. That's a rough situation. So that's why it's important to do the right thing for the right thing's sake when it comes to situations like that. So if you're dealing with family or people who are really close to you, it's important for you to communicate how you feel and, point out, the things that you're doing and how you're not getting any appreciation for it. And, see if their behavior changes, if they, show a little bit more gratitude or, but it's really important for you, for people you have to deal with, to communicate how you feel. And but also setting a boundary if you can. Definitely set that boundary and stop doing so much. Draw the line, especially if you find that you're being taken advantage of, if people are using you, because after a while you just feel like a sucker, and people will use you if they can. There are people out there who, it could be family. So you definitely have to set that boundary. If you don't have to do it, don't do it if they don't appreciate it. And people will miss when you stop doing. That's when you'll get their attention. See, when they feel like it's owed to them, then they don't pay you no mind. But when you withdraw and if you stop doing for them, that's when they'll wake up. So sometimes you got to give people a wake up call. And a wake up call is you stop doing. Or you set that boundary there. And if it's, like I said, if it's family members, let them know, listen, say thank you. I knew someone a parent who once told their child, I overheard this, someone did something or gave the child something and the kid was about to say thank you. And a parent said, this is a parent said to the child, you don't have to say thank you. So there's people out there who are raising their children this way. So imagine this person growing up to be an adult. So there's definitely people and even family who will, not show the gratitude. So you have to definitely draw that boundary and draw that line in the sand. So set a boundary. Number 2, The second thing that we can do is set limits for yourself. Sometimes we are doing too much, and it's not necessarily because anybody's asking us to, or we have to. Some of us out there feel like, if we don't do it, it's not going to get done. It's kind of like a friend that I had, this friend, working mom. She had multiple jobs, children, married, was doing all this stuff and household labor, working multiple jobs and not really getting much help at home. And then I asked my friend, I said, why, always exhausted, always basically burning at both ends, about to have a nervous breakdown. And I'm like, are they asking you to do all this stuff? I'm like, your kids aren't small, so they can actually start doing chores and help out. You start delegating this work. What is your husband doing? How is he helping you? So it's like, sometimes we put the burden on ourselves. Sometimes we're doing entirely too much and doing more than we should do. And sometimes we have to set limits for ourselves, right? And then we get mad sometimes at, the people around us, that they're not picking up the slack or being thankful. But actually, in some cases, sometimes we overextend, and you've got to check to see if you're overextending yourself, right? So once you sometimes we got to set that boundary with ourselves and the limitations with ourselves. So, just know, when you're overdoing it, know that your sacrifices are not going to get people to do the right thing. Sometimes we overdo because we think that is going to get the person to behave or to do the right thing or to be more compliant with what we want, right? That doesn't work. Sometimes the more we do it's not going to help that person. The more you do for that person, the more you help that person. Sometimes, all we're doing is enabling the people around us and the people we care about, right? So just know that the sacrifice doesn't necessarily mean you doing everything, you doing so much doesn't necessarily mean that someone is going to change. And it doesn't mean that that's going to get people to do the right thing, right? Because, well, if I do it and they see that I'm doing it, maybe they'll take a look and start doing it too. That doesn't work. You have to communicate, right? You have to set the boundary, right? And also know, just because you sacrifice for someone, it doesn't mean that the person is going to look out for you. This is a biggie. Right? So sometimes some of us think that because you did all of these things for this person, whoever the person is or the people are, that the person is going to return the same gesture, that the person is going to look out for you in the same way. Big mistake. Some people might go over and beyond for us, but then there's those others who will not. You're sitting there sacrificing, giving all your time, money, and resources to somebody, doing all the emotional labor, being that listening ear, and really helping that person out over the years. And you ask them for one little thing, and they act like you asked them for a kidney or $1 million. Some people are like that. Some people are unfortunately like that. So don't think just because you do a whole lot that people will look out for you in the same way. Going back to what I said earlier, you do the right thing because it's the right thing is good to do, right? So when you start from that baseline, that really should be your motive, just to do the right thing, because you might not get the thank you. You might not get the recognition. The same people who you stick your neck out for and really look out for, they might not help you when you need help. But I'm here to let you know that the things that you do for people is not in vain. If you do it with a good heart and a good spirit, God is going to bless you. That blessing might not come from the people who you sacrifice for, who you help. The blessings usually come from other sources and other people and other things and other situations. So just know that as we are a blessing to other people, even if we don't get the recognition, even if they're ungrateful, we're still going to get that back, right? That's the universal law. You know, you reap what you sow. What goes around comes around. You're going to get that back. And it might not look like you think it should look, or even if it doesn't come from the people, the thank you and the appreciation, if it doesn't come from the people you think it should come from, it's going to come from somewhere. And that's why we don't, and that's why I don't want you out there to have, it's an attitude of lack when you're depending on specific people to be thankful and grateful to you. You might not get that. But if you know, and if you're dealing with universal law, if you're dealing with God and you're on the spiritual path, you're going to have everything that you need. You're not going to need, it'd be nice to have the thank you, but you're not going to need that thank you in order to feel good about yourself. You're not going to need that thank you and that appreciation because you're already going to know that you're blessed, right? And you're already going to feel content even when you don't get the recognition, right? And you're going to be okay. And it's not going to be something that's going to crush you when you have the baseline of just doing the right thing for the right thing's sake. So yes, that's what I wanted to share with you in this video. I really do hope that it's been helpful to you. How to deal with ungrateful people. Just remember the steps, set boundaries, set limits for yourself, and do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. Take care. God bless. And I will see you in the next video.